Hey everybody, this is Joe Pace and welcome to Hard Yoga Poses Made Easy. This is the press. This is the full straight leg press. It's a carrot that a lot of people chase. Ultimately, honestly, a great thing to do once you start to feel more experienced in your practice, not something to rush into. And what I want to give you today are 5 steps towards getting there. Step 5 is the full thing. So ultimately it's 4 steps and then the press, so that you have some steps to get there and you're not just forcing yourself into something that doesn't feel right for you. The first step is hamstring mobility. Now that may not seem relevant, but it is extremely relevant. Very, very simply, work your forward folds. Anytime you're in a forward fold, think about pressing your heels down, bending your knees to whatever degree feels appropriate for your body and what you need, and get a deep stretch. So you don't need to worry so much about dropping the chest into the legs. You can have hands on blocks. You ultimately may even want to keep the chest extending up and forward, straightening the knees to any degree. Get hamstring flexibility so that you can come down and forward fold enough to press weight into your hands, transitioning weight out of your feet and into the hands so you can press. So that's step 1. So just key on hamstring flexibility. Number 2, also not that fun, but maybe a little bit more fun than just generally hamstring flexibility. Use blocks to practice Lolasana. Lolasana is a pose that gets kind of lost sometimes, but I love it because it is so hard. It makes you feel something, and it also trains the body for the press, ultimately. I highly recommend blocks to do Lolasana. It'll elevate the legs off the floor for you. All you have to do is bring the blocks a little bit wider than legs width. They should be just about shoulders width, actually. You're gonna grip down into the blocks, rock your weight forward, lift the knees towards your chest. You'll notice my toes are on the mat. Maybe lift the toes off the mat. From here, you're just holding and breathing. Core engaged, lower down, go through, keep doing it. Go do it all the time. Ultimately, you'll be able to do it without the blocks, pressing the hands into the mat, lifting the feet from the mat, and breathing. It takes a lot of shoulder mobility and also a lot of wrist mobility. So get comfortable on the blocks first. You're strengthening your core, you're strengthening your shoulders to be able to extend and hold weight. That's what we care about for press. So number 3 is going to be starting to resemble press, and it's toe taps. Okay, so you can do this with or without blocks. We'll start with blocks. Really what this is simulating is the feeling of getting your hips stacked over your shoulders and honestly engaging your core a lot to hold that position. So we'll bring the feet to blocks. And again, this is where the hamstring flexibility comes in. We step onto the blocks, the hands come to the mat. From this position, you're gonna feel slightly compromised. All right, your knees are bent. You're not feeling in a really athletic position. Place the hands onto the mat with knees bent. Lift through the hips so that you're transitioning weight into the hands. One foot touches the wrist, step it back. The other touches the wrist, step it back. Without blocks, this actually may be a little bit easier. You press the hands into the mat, you lift up onto the toes, you lift one foot, touch the wrist, you lift the other foot, touch the wrist. You'll notice the more weight you transition into your hands, the easier it is on your core, the easier it is to step forward. You can sort of step this up a little bit and do both toes at the same time. I'm strategically giving myself a rest right now, so just so you know. Hands are directly underneath the shoulders. I transition my weight back first to accentuate the lengthening of my arms. I lift up, hips are over shoulders, I tap, I come back down. That's number 3. The 4th is a single leg press. It's a little bit tricky because the straight leg press requires a lot of coordination that you just can't replicate in the single leg press. But what the single leg press does for you is it gives you the feeling and the understanding that it's not about forcing yourself into the pose. It should feel pretty effortless when your legs come overhead. And if it doesn't, you're just not ready yet. So it should feel effortless. And the single leg press is easier to feel effortless in than the double leg straight leg press. Feet can always be on blocks. Hands are directly underneath the shoulders. I'm lifting one leg. And now the key is you're not giving yourself any momentum here. Your hands are underneath your shoulders. You're bending into your bottom leg, and then you're extending through the bottom leg, lifting through the top leg. Now, the idea is my top leg gets as high as it can so that I can stack my hips over my shoulders. From there, I transfer more weight into my hands. My bottom leg gets light. I lift it overhead almost effortlessly. Lift the top leg, lift onto the ball of the left foot, continue to lift. Notice I'm not forcing,
my back leg, my bottom leg into the posts, I slowly come out the same way I came in.
Trying to eliminate momentum. That's what we're practicing with the single leg press. So those are the 4 steps towards the full press. I'll demonstrate the press handstand for you guys just so you can see it. What I want you to start to understand is these 4 things are honestly the work, they're the journey, they're what make it fun. If you could do the straight leg press today, you wouldn't be watching this video. But just so you know, once you're ready, once you feel like you've got the straight leg press down, all 4 of these steps are really nailed, you work here.
Hands are directly underneath the shoulders. Again, I'm thinking about making this as light as possible. I don't want to be forcing myself into the pose. If at any point I feel like I'm forcing, I'm just not ready yet. And I need to be able to accept that. Rock the weight back, accentuating the lengthening of the arm. Lift up onto the balls of the feet. Hips are stacking over the shoulders. From here, zip the legs together and slowly lift them overhead. From here, working to do the same thing on the way down, hips over shoulders. That's the idea. That's what we want to be doing when we're pressing into handstand. 4 steps plus 1, which is the full thing. Thanks for joining me. Happy pressing. Thank you for your time.